everyone, how's everyone doing? Hope you're doing amazing and having an amazing day, because today we are going to be looking into PBD, Pentaksiran Bilik Darjah, also known as classroom assessment for Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, particularly Form 3 for English language. And before we proceed further, let's have a look at the experienced teacher that we are going to be having on board. There you go, peoples at home. That's the experienced teacher that we are going to be having on board. But before that, let's welcome our lovely sign interpreter. We have teacher Rohaya from SK Pendidikan Khas Vocational Indapura Kulai, Johor. And with that, let's welcome our experienced teacher on board. Hello, teacher. We have Mr. Mohana, all the way from SMK Perempuan Methodist Ipoh, Perak. Am I right?
Yes. How are you, Thiviya?
I'm doing very good. Welcome to the studio all the way from Perak.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, we are joined here today for PBD, Pentaksiran Bilik Darjah, which is also known as the classroom assessment for English language, right?
Yes.
So go ahead. What do we have for this particular segment?
Okay, so for today's lesson, we are going to look at the Form 3 PBD or the classroom assessment based on one of the textbooks for Form 3 textbooks, close-up textbook, which I'm going to elaborate further on how to go about this classroom assessment. Because there is a lot of misconception that PBD is actually a test. So it is not a test. It is an ongoing assessment that can be carried out throughout the lesson.
Yeah, more of a formulative assessment for the pupils. All right, please, all yours.
Okay, so for today's PBD classroom assessment that I'm going to explain today, we are going to look at English Language Secondary Form 3. Okay, and the lesson that we are looking at is the close-up page, close-up textbook page 19 on the topic food, food and food. Okay, I'm sure many pupils and teachers at home, this lesson we would have conducted at home. So what we are going to do is, I'm not going to explain how to go about this lesson, but what are the PBD activities or classroom assessment activities that we can carry out for this lesson. Now, firstly, let us look at the content standard. So the content standard for this lesson is it's a reading lesson, okay, 3.2, where pupils would explore and expand ideas for personal development by reading independently and widely. Then we have the complementary skill, which is the speaking skill, where pupils would communicate information, ideas, opinion, and feelings intelligibly on a familiar topic. Okay, so that is the content standard. Let us look at the learning standard for this lesson. The learning standard that we particularly need to focus is 3.2.1, which is read, enjoy, and give personal response to fiction, non-fiction, and other suitable print material, print or digital text of interest. Then, for the complementary skill, the learning standard is 2.15, where people would learn to express, respond to common feelings such as happiness, sadness, surprise, and interest. Right? So if you look at the task here, for this lesson, there are 3 methods of assessment that I'm going to introduce here. We are going to look at peer assessment, oral assessment, and observation. Okay, so that is the introductory part for this PBD. Okay, Thiviya, over to you.
Alright, pupils at home, that's pretty much the introduction of what we are going to be learning today in terms of the classroom assessment for English language, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, together with Mr. Mohana on D-Date TV KPM. We'll come back after a very short commercial break. See you. Good day everyone, welcome back. You're watching D-Date TV KPN. I'm Thiviya, and today we are looking at PBD, which is classroom assessment for English language, to check pupils' English proficiency, together with Mr. Mohana, all the way from SMK Pendidikan Methodist Para, right? Over to you. So what do we have for this particular segment, understanding the classroom assessment?
Okay, so for this segment, we are going to look at classroom assessment. Okay, the first part of this segment, we are going to look at reading. Okay, 3.2.1. Okay, what are the activities that I have here? So we have read, answer and check as a peer and self-assessment. Then we have the second one, which is as a pair, prepare a mind map based on the text and share with the class to show what you have understood on the text. This is basically students will be showing how much they have understood the text through a classroom presentation. And the third one is check understanding by asking questions. Pupils will check each other's understanding by asking questions. It's a pair work actually. So basically all these three activities are pair work, okay, for this reading task. Okay, let us look at the first one, okay, which is read, answer and check. Okay, for this task, pupils read the text and answer the questions and compare the answers with their shoulder partner. Okay, basically on page 19, there is a text, food, food and food, where in that, there is a task, the main task there where people need to fill in the blanks or fill in the gaps with suitable answers. So this is basically the main task that is given here where people have to complete. So this is the task, okay, the main task. Once people complete the task, what pupils need to do is they need to check the answers with each other. People explain to their partner, they pair up with their shoulder partner, they explain to one another what they have understood based on the text and why they have chosen a particular answer to fill in the gap. Okay, so to understand how the task is being carried out, let us look at the first video here today.
What do you think is the answer for number one?
I wrote no one from number one because later down in the sentence it states that olives were used before people wrote in characters, right? So that it must mean that there's barely any historians that have actual evidence and records of when olives were actually used.
I agree.
What about number two?
I think the answer for number two would reproduce because below the sentence it states there that Spain being the world's biggest producer. So I don't think better, the choice better, want or buy would be a suitable answer for that question.
Yeah, and for number three, I used the word until because we already know that we still use olive oil to this day, and it's also used in the ancient times. And so to describe the timeline, I used the word until since we use olive oil all throughout. Number four.
For number four, I think the answer would be by hand because olive growers keep their ancient traditions and still harvest olives by hand. With hand is not suitable because it is not appropriate with the sentence and it doesn't really match up well. So what do you think is the answer for number five?
I wrote down us for the answer for number five. This is because olive oil is used for the purpose of medicine, and because I don't write down such an answer, I shortened the word down to us.
Okay, so in this task, what we looked at was the students were discussing the task given to them, where they need to fill in the gap, and then once they have gotten the answers, they pair up and then they discuss. So that is part of the discussion that we saw just now. Now, during this discussion, when this discussion is going on, the teacher doesn't interfere. We do not give them the answers. Let them explore the answers together. They might have different answers and they might end up arguing which one is the correct answer. After they have completed the discussion, only then the teacher comes in and then explain the answer for each of the questions. And yeah, so that's when we get the answer. Then the students would know how many questions they have got correct. Okay, so that is how you carry out the first activity, the first PBD activity. Complete a read, check the answers and discuss with the partners. Okay, it's a pair activity. All right, and the process of PBD or the classroom assessment, the scores can be given based on the task that they have done and also based on the discussion that they have carried out. Now let us move on to the next task, which is preparing a mind map and presenting to the class. Now, the purpose of this task is to understand how much students have understood the text. Okay, they may have gotten everything correct in the first task where they have managed to identify the correct answers. But did they really understand the text? So to know that, we give some time to the students to prepare a mind map and present it to the classroom. So this is exactly what we did here. Okay, if you look at the picture here, there is a picture where the students have drawn a mind map with the most important details from the text, and they are going to explain to to all the students in the class what they have understood in the text. Okay, let us look at video 2.
Mr. Mona and my fellow friends, today we'll be talking about olive oil. Olive oil is a type of oil mainly produced in Spain.
Olive oil is originated from the Mediterranean Sea 6,000 years ago. The process of making olive oil, the farmers first crush the olives, then take the liquid and separate the oil from the water.
Next is the use of olive oil. In ancient civilization, olive oil is used as money, medicine, and during war. In war, the olive oils are heated and poured over the enemies. Next, in modern times, olive oils are used in religious ceremonies to keep the fish and cheese fresh, and also as oil lamps and soaps.
The benefits of olive oil. It protects people from certain diseases. It also improves heart condition and health. Lastly, it helps with balancing diets.
Okay, so from this activity, while the students carrying out this activity, what we can do is other students, while listening to them, they can also carry out a peer assessment task. Okay, the teacher can prepare the peer assessment sheet and pass it to the rest of the class. Ask the students to listen, and do they have they fulfilled all the criteria given in the assessment task. This is one way we can carry out a classroom assessment through peer assessment. All right. So the next task is check others' understanding, each other's understanding. Where here, pupil will carry out peer assessment. There will be 2 sets of questions given to pupils. Student A will have 1 set, student B will have 1 set. And those are both sets have different sets of questions. And student A asks questions to student B, and they take turns. Student B asks questions to student A. So they take turn to ask and answer question based on the text to show how much they have understood the text. And here, the questions are not just identifying answers from the text. It requires them to think further or beyond the text. Okay, let us watch the video 3. Yeah.
Question is, why does Maria Alcala says a meal without olive oil is boring?
This is because the Mediterranean people have frequently used the olive oil in their daily life as a daily basis. That's it. My question is, what did the ancient civilization use the olive oil for?
The ancient civilizations used olive oil as money and medicine, but you can also see that they also have used it in war times, and they also use it in religious ceremonies. For my second question, what are the basic steps of producing the olive oil?
The basic steps of producing the olive oil is, first, farmers crush the olives, then they take the liquid and separate the oil from the water. My next question is, what are the other uses of olive oils in ancient civilization?
Like I have previously said, ancient civilizations, they use it during the war. They would heat up the oil and drop it down on the enemy.
All right, so we have looked at 3 PBD activities or classroom assessment activities that was carried out to develop students' understanding on reading a text. Okay, so next what we are going to do is we are going to look at the complementary skills, which is 2.1.5. Under this skill, 2.1.5, there are 2 activities that I have done with the students, which is 1, using of talking chips, and also a reflection game. Okay, let us first look at use of talking chips. Okay, if you see in the picture here, I've prepared some cards with the tasks that they need to be carried out. For example, I have 1 card saying ask a question, another one respond to a question, and giving an opinion. So students use these chips, take turns to answer a question based on the page 19 focus idea question. For here, we are talking, the students are going to discuss about whether they prefer to eat at home or at a restaurant. Now let us watch video 4.
In my opinion, I prefer to eat at a restaurant because the food is delicious. In my opinion, I prefer to eat home cooked food because it provides a much more commodious environment and it's much more affordable. I agree with you, Kilo, because in restaurants you don't know how they prepare their food because in most restaurants they just microwave their food.
So, what is your favorite home cooked meal and do you know how to prepare it?
To be honest, I'm not really good at cooking, but I do prefer homemade food.
So, Tilo, you say you prefer homemade food. So, what's your favorite food?
My favorite homemade food is nasi lemak because it's much more easier. Because it's much more easier to like make since it's one of Asians' best dish. So, you said that you prefer eating in a restaurant. So, what's your most favorite dish you order if you go to a restaurant?
I love to order spaghetti bolognese or ramen.
Okay, students have done reading activities and they have done the speaking activities. So next, what we need to do at the end of the lesson, especially for classroom assessment, to check whether students have how much students have understood the overall lesson, we can always carry out an end of the lesson game, which is a reflection game. Okay, which is the use of reflection game, where I use a board game. There are several statements given in the board, and based on the statements, students have to state what they have learned in the lesson. For example, one of the box may say, state 3 new words that you have learned in today's lesson. So the students have to state these 3 words. And if you want to make it more interesting, you can give points to the students so that at the end of the lesson, you can reward them with something like sweet and so on, so that makes the lesson livelier. Okay, now let us watch video 5 to see how this lesson is being carried out.
Talk about what you like about today's lesson. I like all the activities that we have done today.
Talk about an improvement that you had from today's lesson. I definitely improved my speaking skills as we did speaking tasks just now. The same about an improvement that you had from today's lesson. For today, I think I learned how to summarize all the points from passage by doing a mind map.
In my opinion, the things I learned today is different types of speaking tests that can be pulled and how to share my opinions openly with anyone.
What aspect would you like to explore more from today's lesson? I would like to learn more about all the activities that we have done and how to make our activities more fun.
Three key words to remember from today's lesson: olive, harvest, and fresh.
All right, so we have watched an entire reflection game that the students have done just now. Now, at the end of the lesson, we can always give students a peer assessment form. Okay, what you see on the screen is an example of peer assessment form that can be given. It can be an individual self-assessment form and can also be used as a peer assessment form. It's just that the peer can change the word I to he so that they can exchange views on how they did on the task. Okay, over to you, Thiviya.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Mohana. That was a very thoroughly explained speaking assessment and a reading assessment with video references, which was very easy for us to understand and grasp the idea, right? And with that, peoples at home, we are going to be coming back for the finale segment to understand and conclude this particular classroom assessment. And with that, let's go for a short break and we'll be back. Hello everyone, pupils pupils at home, welcome back, and we are at the finale segment to understand on classroom assessment, right? PBD Pentaksiran Bilik Darjah together with Mr. Mohana all the way from SMK Methodist Perempuan Ipoh Perak. Hello, Mr. Mohana. Over to you. Take it away, please.
Okay, thank you again, Thiviya. All right, so for this segment, we are going to look at classroom assessment. How are we going to record students' performance level? So what you can see on the screen is the performance description and students' performance level. So this performance description is taken from the document Standard Curriculum Pentaksiran Tingkatan 3. I'm sure every English teacher has this document. And in this document, every reading lesson has been, how to assess the reading lesson, and the performance description has been given. So if you see the highlighted phrases, okay, the highlighted phrases here are the keywords that we need to refer when we are giving students the performance level. So we have performance level 1 until performance level 6. But at the end of the day, it boils down to teachers' proficiency, professional judgment, right? So if we look here, the highlighted words here, for example, we have hardly shows any ability, performance level 1. If you see from the entire video, from video 1 until video 5, examples that we have seen, there's no one with a proficiency level 1. In this lesson, most of the students are at proficiency level 4, 5, and 6, where they show good ability to a variety of tasks, and then displays very good ability to give personal response, and display excellent ability to give personal response to a variety of tasks. Now, together with this performance description, the teacher can also refer to the peer assessment form, given to check how much the students have understood. Okay, and this peer assessment form, the students should discuss with one another before passing it to the teacher, and the students should agree with the score given. For example, if student A is giving student B a part that he or she did not achieve, student A should explain to her. So this is how we carry out peer assessment. Okay, the peer assessment, this peer assessment form, the teacher can use it again for the when the teacher gives the performance level score for the PBD task. Now here is an example that I do for my pupils' performance to record my pupils' performance level. So for this task, I have listed 7 pupils from pupil A to pupil G. So if you see, I have pupils A and B getting performance level 4, pupil C, pupil E, and pupil G getting performance level 5, and pupil 6 and pupil D and pupil F getting performance level 6, which is, so from my lesson here today, from today's lesson during the PBD, 2 pupils have shown good ability to a variety of tasks, okay, to personal response. They have shown personal response. And then for performance level 5, there were few of them who had very good ability where they have responded to the text. And PL6, there were 2 pupils who actually give a very exemplary presentation and responded to the text very well. Okay, so this is how we carry out our PBD activity or classroom-based assessment in our English language reading lesson for Form 3. Okay, this is just one example. All right, so over to you, Thiviya.
All right. With that, Mr. Mohana did an amazing job, excellent job. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohana.
Thank you.
And could we probably get an overall summary of understanding the classroom assessment quickly?
All right. For today's lesson, what we looked at was we actually looked at how to carry out the PBD activities. Okay, so we looked at two skills. The main skill is reading, and the sub-skill is speaking, right? So student actually displayed the understanding. So what we assess here in this PBD here is how students display their understanding to the text and how they respond to the text. So that was what basically we looked throughout the PBD activity. Yeah.
All right, with that, pupils at home, I'm sure you have had a great understanding of PBD, on classroom assessment to, either speaking and the reading, or I think you also elaborated with a lot of activities that we can carry out in the classroom to understand the assessment that we can actually get through the pupils at home. And
Yes.
people in the school as well. With that, we'd like to thank Mr. Mohana for doing a great job, very experienced teacher, sharing us a lot of knowledge on this. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohana, for joining us on board. And we would also like to thank our lovely interpreter, sign interpreter that joined us is Cikgu Rohaya from SK Pendidikan Khas Vocational Indapura Kulai Johor. With that, people at home, we are going to be saying bye-bye right now with this classroom assessment for English language for Form 1, Form 2, particularly Form 3. And see you everybody, and we'll be back. Bye-bye.
Bye.